Shalom, it's Ruben Abramov. Today I wanted to recap yesterday's Haftorah Man in the Hampton Synagogue. Here we go. This was the sixth out of the 7 weeks of what's called the Shiva de Nechemta, the 7 weeks of comforting, Menachem. And what comforting did we needed is back in the time of the destruction of the temple 2,600 years ago, the Jewish people that had been under siege and were starved and murdered and watched the destruction of the temple with their own eyes were exiled by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Babylonians, into the city of Chevar in Babylonia. And there they're sitting, post-traumatic syndrome. And they just wanted to know if they were going to survive and were they going to maintain as a community, and were they ever going to return to the land of Israel. So here Isaiah, Yeshayahu, knows his audience and is speaking to the audience, and he's reminding them, and he is revealing their destiny. What is he reminding them of? He said, listen, I look into each and every one of your eyes, each person's eyes, and I look, and what I see is one of God's creations that has a holy soul inside, and that you are all God's children, and I'll explain why you got exiled. However, I want you to know that you will be going back to the land of Israel. I could see the future as clearly as you could see me standing in front of you. So the Navi, the prophet, was very humble and modest. He wasn't looking to build up his ego and self-esteem. That was in place. What his task was to reveal to everybody that they're going to be okay and what their future held for them. He made them feel like they were special. You're God's children. You're Yerushalmis. You're going to be back in the temple worshiping. This made them feel good about themselves. And this is how he got everybody to listen carefully, because I'm speaking the truth. The reason why you're here is because God warned you. You were showing disrespect to yourselves, to others, to the temple, to the land of Israel. Must speak, enough. So he said, I'll tell you once, I'll warn you a second time, and in that second warning he says, if this continues, boom, you'll be punished and exiled. Okay, so now what? Why Shiva de Nechemta, 7 weeks of comfort, is fear behaves in the brain irrationally. And the people in the Babylonian exile, they were afraid that this was going to reoccur in some other calamitous way. And God, through the Navi, Yeshayahu, was explaining to them and reinforcing to them that many times things are going to get better. And here's how he explained it. He starts off with the 2 words that are in the Kabbalat Shabbat, the welcoming of Shabbat prayers. For the better part of 1,600 years, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, every night of the week, the same prayers. Until the men of Sfat, these Kabbalists, the Ari, the mystics, Rabbi Cordovero, and I'll remember the third one, that they said, let's do something special for Shabbat, the welcoming of Shabbat, and let's have special prayers. So they started with the Kabbalat Shabbat. The welcoming of Shabbat, Friday nights, is only 400 years old. And they also added a prayer called the Chadodi, and that was walk out to the dear one. They would go out on the hills of Sfat and they would welcome the Shabbat queen. So here the Haftarah begins, Kumi Ori, saying, Arise and shine and give God his glory, glory. The light that was going to shine was a divine, heavenly light. It wasn't a flashlight, it wasn't sunlight. Ki hinei hachoshech yichaseh eretz. For behold, the darkness that will cover the earth will now go away in light of it shining. Sorry, everybody. Then the Haftarah continues that the Gentile nations, those Babylonians, those Assyrians, those Egyptians, all those nations that were your enemies, they will return you, they will escort you to the city of Jerusalem, Har Zion, Mount Zion, and they will not only help you, but they will bring your children on their shoulders, and they will offer up gifts. That here you see the phrase Chel Goyim, the wealth of nations. Adam Smith wrote this book called The Wealth of Nations. The Haftarah continues that they will rebuild the city of Jerusalem for you, that your gates will always be open. It's not like you'll be a ghost town, and it's not like you have to be afraid to let the people walk in, because only good people are going to walk in. You will no longer worship the enemies. They will worship you, and they will bow down to you and kiss your feet. So look at this pendulum swinging. It is in tremendously powerful, encouraging words to the people in the Babylonian exile that you have nothing to worry about, and that instead of being poor, you'll be wealthy. Instead of copper, you'll have gold. Instead of iron, you'll have silver. Great wealth will take care, and that there will be peace in the land of Israel with marvelous blessings. There will no longer be anger, and that your walls will not be there for protection. Your walls will be there for decoration. And then the Haftarah continues. I'm continuing to the last two Pesukim. Va'amech, and your nation, kulam sadikim. That Isaiah is speaking to the city of Jerusalem and to the people in the Babylonian exile. And he says that you are all righteous people, that leolam yirshu aretz, you will inherit the land forever. Netzer mata'ai, because you are descendants of my planting. Ma'aseh yodai lihit pa'er, my handiwork in which I glory. Here comes the big ending. Hakatoni hiela elef, the smallest family will become like 1,000 people. V'hatzair legoy atzum, and the least of you, the weak, the small, the insignificant, the negligible, legoy atzum, you will become a great and mighty nation. You see this unfolding in front of your eyes. Ani Adonai be'ita achishena. When the time comes, it's going to happen quickly. So get ready. So I spoke yesterday, and I said time. I said, sometimes people tell you, I don't have time. And I think to myself, what are you talking about? Maybe you don't have enough money, maybe you have a lot of money, maybe you're handsome, maybe you're a movie star, maybe you're a genius, maybe you're a member of Mensa. Everybody is different over there. But where you're not different, listen carefully, is time. Every person on planet Earth has one thing exactly the same. 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Don't say you don't have time. Tell the truth to yourself and to others. I don't choose to use my time that way. How did the Navi choose to use his time? The prophet, he chose to use his blessing, his God-given gift, to share with the people what their destiny is going to be. And he said to them, You may be out here in exile in Babylonia, but guess what? Don't get too comfortable, because the day is going to come where God is going to say, time to mobilize. And when that happens, it's going to happen quickly. So don't get too comfortable. And when the time comes, it will happen quickly. I thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoy. I hope you learn. I hope you grow. I'll see you next week. And please share this with other people. It's important that we all hear in this Corona year words of comfort and words that have holiness to them, that relates to our souls, and that we're all going to be okay, providing we look after each other, we look after ourselves, and we look up towards God.